Hey, welcome back to Cooper's Cogitations. In the Enzyme, January 2020 issue, Seeing the Lord's Hand, 200 Years of Light, 1820 to 2020, an overview of events leading up to the Restoration and Second Coming. In 1679, John Locke writes two treatises of government, arguing for the natural rights of mankind, influencing the creation of democratic governments. Locke, great end of man's entering into society being the enjoyment of their properties in peace and safety, the great instrument and means of that being the laws established in that society. The first and fundamental positive law of all commonwealth is the establishing of the legislative power to make laws. As the first fundamental natural law, which is to govern even the legislative itself in the preservation of society. The legislature is not nor can possibly be absolutely arbitrary over the lives and fortunes of the people. They have to be restrained. They're naturally restrained by the laws of nature and nature's God, Locke. For it being but the joint power of every member of society given up to that assembly, it can be no more than those persons had in a state of nature before they entered into society. For nobody can transfer to another more power than he has in himself, or take away the life or property of another. We elect our representatives. They represent Dan Cooper. They can only do what Dan Cooper can do. If I can't do it, if I can't go over, put a gun to your head, take money for my golf course, they can't either. When they put a gun to your head and take your property for that golf course, they are thieves. They are rulers. They're not legislators, not representatives. They are criminals. What law says. Okay, let's push a little further, folks. And whatsoever in authority exceeds the power given him by the law, the natural law, and makes use of the force he has under his command to compass upon the subject which the natural law allows not, ceases in that to be a magistrate and acting without authority, may be opposed by any other man who by force invades, may be opposed as any other man who by force invades the right of another. Locke says, when the government does it, and it's illegal for the government to do it, violating the laws of nature and of nature's God, it's just another criminal. Just another criminal. When you look at it, the greatest criminal of the world since the world began is government. They've stolen more property, they've murdered more individuals, they've enslaved more individuals than any other. The dark side of the force will say, oh, it's religion, it's religion. Stalin did 100 million alone. No religion kills 100 million people. That's Stalin by himself. That's not Mao. That's not Hitler. That's not Pol Pot. That's not Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan. It's government, folks. Proceeding with Locke. When illegal attempts are made upon their liberties or properties and may oppose the unlawful violence of those who were their magistrates, when they invade their properties contrary to the trust put in them, if any mischief comes in such cases, it is not to be charged upon him who defends his own right on him that invades his neighbors. When they invade us, it's not our problem. It's their problem, and we can't oppose it, according to Locke. Being reasonable and just, I should have the right to destroy that which threatens me with destruction. Hope you have some good quality chocolate, folks. Locke is pretty heavy. And hence, It is that he who attempts to get another man into his absolute power does thereby put himself in a state of war with him, it being to be understood as a declaration of design upon his life. That he who makes an attempt to enslave me thereby puts himself into a state of war with me. I don't enslave anybody. I don't push anybody. Folks, why are you pushing me? Why are you voting for legislatures, city council, commissions, senators, governors that enslave me? That's unrighteous dominion. Read your Constitution, folks. Listen to these videos. Stop enslaving me. You're putting yourself at war with me. Hey, I can tell you this. I can still love you no matter what you do, because I know something you don't know. God lives, and there will be a judgment. And bad guys will be shaken together, pressed down, and overflowing. Now, we stop for a minute with Locke. I'm going to talk about Lysander Spooner. Lysander Spooner wrote an essay on trial by jury, something you've never heard of about the trial by jury, why it's in our Constitution. For more than 600 years, that is since the Magna Carta in 1215, there has been no clearer principle in English or American constitutional law than that in criminal cases, it is not only the right and duty to judge what are the facts, what is the law, and what is the moral intent of the accused, but that is also the jury's right and their primary and paramount duty to judge the justice of the law and to hold all laws invalid that are, in their opinion, unjust or oppressive, and all persons guiltless in violating or resisting the execution of such laws. That's why judges now say, and I'll tell you what the law is. Folks, you have common sense. You read the Constitution. If the rule violates the laws of nature, God, and this guy broke it, how can you hold him responsible? How can you hold him guilty? It's the law. It's the rule that they made. That's the criminal. And the judge is enforcing it. Okay? Unless such be the right and duty of juries, it is plain that instead of juries being a palpadidium of liberty, a barrier against tyranny and oppression of the government, they are really mere tools in his hands for carrying into execution any injustice, any oppression it may desire to have executed. The jury is not a jury of free men, they're a jury of slaves. For it is their right to judge the law and the justice of the law. Juries would be no protection to an accused person, even as a matter of fact, for if the government can dictate to a jury any law whatsoever, in a criminal case, it can certainly dictate to them the laws of evidence. That is, it can dictate what evidence is admissible and what inadmissible, and also what force or weight is to be given to the evidence admitted. And if the government can thus dictate to a jury the laws of evidence, it can not only make it necessary for them to convict on a partial exhibition of evidence rightly pertaining to the case, but it can even require them to conviction any evidence, whatever it pleases to offer them. Oh, folks, Spooner is awesome. He illuminates what the trial by jury is supposed to do and what judges are doing today. Trial by jury is a trial by country, trial by the people, as distinguished from a trial by government. The object of their trial by the country or the people, in preference to a trial of government, is to guard against every species of oppression by the government. In order to effect this end, it is indispensable that the people of the country judge of and determine their own liberties against the government, instead of the government's judging of and determining its powers over the own people. How is it possible that juries can do anything to protect the liberties of the people against the government if they are not allowed to determine what those liberties are? Friends, if you're ever assigned to a jury duty in a criminal case, he will ask you, is anybody opposed to having me tell you what the law is? Oh, I'm not opposed to that. I'll let you tell me. I won't necessarily believe you, but I will let you tell me. Judges too often are mere criminals upholding tyranny, destroying the Constitution. And they want to make juries their lick-spittle boys. Well, thank you. We'll go probably talk about America and Plymouth next time.